And we live. Hello and welcome, everyone. It's time for another thought provocative episode of IT Career in Australia channel. And today we're talking about, the question that sparks plenty of debates. Can certification really get you a tech job? And if you've been wondering where do some certification, if it's truly worth the investment, or if experience and networking matter more, this session is for you. So we'll unpack which certification actually make a difference in the Australian tech market, how to choose the right ones for your goals, and when they can help you to actually stand out, or maybe sometimes they can hold you back. Who knows? So bring your questions. And of course, say hi in the comments. Let us know in the comments what you do at the moment. And maybe if you're doing some certification at the moment, post it in the comments too. And we will try to answer most of your questions from both LinkedIn and YouTube. And if you forgot for any reason, I'm Jana Martins. If you're watching me on LinkedIn, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to connect on LinkedIn. Also, remember that there is a meetup group that announces all the events. Make sure to join that one too, because you can see all the announcements for all upcoming online events, as well as our tech walking events. So there's a few people saying hi. Thank you guys to joining us. Max here from New Zealand, Annabelle's here. I always like the YouTube names. So exciting topic. Please let us know your name because we don't know. Hi everyone, Isaac's here. Perfect. Thank you guys for joining us. Mandy from Melbourne as well. So I'm gonna pass it on to our speakers for the really quick introduction before we dive into the topic. Rashendra, please.
Hi, Yana. Thanks for the introduction. I'm really glad to be in this tech talk. I'm Rashendra. You can call me Rush. I'm based in Melbourne. I'm one of the principal engineers in one of the big four banks, and I'm one of the Cube astronaut influenced by Young, who is my co-host in here. I'm glad to join this session, and I want to share my real life experience with anyone who is thinking twice whether to do a certificate or not. Thank you. Over to you, Yang.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so happy to be here. My name is Yongkang He. I'm the founder of the Kesuga.ai. Yeah, we are one of the largest Cube Smart and AI user group. Yeah, globally we just got over 30,000 members. Yeah, great to be here to share the experience. How to become a CubeStudio, how to become an astronaut, or join our CubeStudio club. Let's talk about the certifications. Thanks for having me, Yana.
Thank you, guys. We already have some questions before we even started. I wish we'll answer your question in a second. We probably start a little bit with some stories because what I'm really, really curious about, we can talk about theory, all this, and what's certification in the market and what they do and things like that. But we want to hear the real stories about actual time when the certification directly helps someone to land a new role, or even just the interview. Yeah, so is it actually worth, to put all this certification on your resume and things like that? So the goal today is actually share those real stories and example. And Young, we'll start with you. Obviously, you've done a lot of certifications.
And thanks, Yana. Yeah. Let me introduce a little bit more about myself. As you can see from the screen, I actually did quite a lot of the certifications. I'm a truly multi-cloud person. Yeah, I do cover on the screen. Actually, behind of the certification badges, you might see the magic quadrant for the cloud infra. So the reason I put that one is we have to be strategically align the top cloud providers. If you look at the top right corner, the leader, you can see who are the leaders. Amazon Web Services, AWS is one of the leader, and plus Microsoft or Google. They are all leaders in the cloud area. That's why I choose to do. Initially, I choose to do the 3 top cloud certifications. And then I'm truly multi-cloud. I love multi-cloud, so I also did the all CNCF, not all CNCF, all Kubernetes certifications. It happened, I'm the first one globally. Okay, just after I did the 5th certification, CNCF announced the program Kubestron. So I was the first one globally. And on the left, on the bottom, you can see there are some visionary, like you can see Alibaba Cloud, you can see Oracle Cloud. So slightly less, I would say less popular. So if you're really looking for the jobs seriously, where you can see many opportunities from Alibaba Cloud. In Australia, they used to have the region in Sydney, but they closed, I believe, last year. But Oracle could be slightly different in front of the new AI era because they just, I believe they awarded a few AI projects to build the data center for the largest AI companies. So in the short, I love multi-cloud. I'm passionate to help the community. I even built the 2 community program to encourage, to inspire more people to join me to become certified. One of the program is called Astronaut. You might see the screen AWS Astronaut. So basically for someone to be fully certified on AWS, you complete all AWS certifications. AWS actually, they don't give you anything. There is no nice title. So I created a nice title called Astronaut for someone to be fully certified on AWS. And then after the first community program, I also created the Kubestron program. Basically, to become a Kubestron part of the Kubestron Club, you need to be multi-cloud certified, being able to fully certify on AWS plus fully certified on Kubernetes. Anyway, that's just showing all of my digital badges. So the reason is, I just want to inspire more people. The continuous learning certification might help you to land your next exciting jobs.
Thank you, Young. It's like definitely, if anyone has any question about any certification, it feels like you've done it all. So you can pretty much, give anyone the idea, how useful that particular certification. Rashendra, I want to sort of pass to you right now, and kind of like
Yes.
talk us through a little bit what you done
Okay.
recently, and some of the examples as well.
Correct. Thank you, Anna. Unfortunately, I don't have as much as certificate as Young do, but I believe I'm have enough to be the most certified person in the place where I work. I have to say that I was influenced by some of the meetups which is founded by Young. So start with I only had 3 certificates in Kubernetes, and then I not accidentally, I joined this KSUG AI meetup back in nearly more than 1.5 years ago. Ever since, I haven't missed that meetup, to be honest. It is a fantastic opportunity, and I think when you go to a meetup with like-minded people, that's what influence you quite a lot. And as you can see that I'm also following the footstep of Yongkang to be an astronaut. What that means is that you probably would have all the AWS certificates and plus the a Cube astronaut. So I'm the 10th Cube astronaut in Australia. Unfortunately, not the first in Australia. And once you got all that AWS certificate, and plus if you're a Cube astronaut, then there's a program which is actually we actually, it's a community funded program that you become like an astronaut. One of the things which I like to share, Yana, can certificate how I managed to land on a job with my certifications. I want to go.
Where is this? Those examples, because it's we can see people like completing all these certifications, putting them on LinkedIn, but those real examples of where you're actually getting that new role or like progressing your career. Yeah.
Correct. So I think the certifications have helped me 3 times in my 16 years of career to find a job within the same organization, find my first job, as well as get to the next promotion. I would like to go way back to 2010, where I was out of the college. I wasn't even actually out of the college. It was the last semester where we need to find a placement in the industry, and work with the actual engineers. And I have to say that I didn't have the highest GPA among the university in my batch. I was good, but there were a lot of people ahead of me. But one thing which I was really good is that I managed to do the certifications. I haven't put those certifications because it's like pretty much like 1.5 decades old. Those were the at that time it was Sun certified, Java, web services, EJB, and mobile, and Java programming. So those were the certificates which were popular at that time, and I managed to do them. And then it only took me one interview to get into my first intern job. And that is that when there were plenty of people ahead of me when it comes to the performance of the university, but an actual tech company would not actually put a lot of weight on your university degree. It would still put a reasonable weight, but there is always an bridge which you have to fill in when you are trying to move to a tech company. And that was one of my first example, and that was the first moment that actually influenced me and say, yeah, sure, my goodness, this is actually really helping. I never thought I would be placing myself in a tech company ahead of some of the guys who were like in the top niche of my batch. And they were surprised too. I was thinking, oh, hang on, how come this person, managed to land a job? We are still waiting in the queue. And that was the first example. And the second example is that, that
Rashendra,
actually.
just before you go to second example, I feel like there's a few people sort of asking that question about, when they really, really fresh, for example, Wish is asking, how much the certification in technical skills helped on someone to transition to a technical role from a non-technical career. And again, like Annabelle asking the same question, coming from a different industry, would you recommend to get straight to certification or start with the foundational traditional course? Like, you've been like straight from uni and start doing like certification. Did you finish your uni in IT as well? Or?
Yes, I did finish in computer science, and there were a lot of other students as well in the uni in the same one. They were doing like kind of physics, and they were doing. I mean, one of the true stories is that I have my twin brother who looks like me, and he was doing actually physics for his university degree. However, since IT was getting popular, his academic wasn't actually on computer science. He did something on physics, which is really good at that time. But he saw me doing the certificates, and he just followed the path, and that actually helped him to get into the same industry with a real quick time. End of the day, you just know the fundamentals. That should be fine. And technically, what we want in a tech job is that the things which you want to get it done in the software development life cycle. So if you're coming from a non-tech industry, there's a lot of good stories within the same organization on this industry, where a lot of non-tech people who started off from an like kind of a start, or like an intern, or like maybe they join a star camp, and they slowly converted themselves into an full-time IT career. You need to be very careful which certificates you need to select, because if you're planning to join a company, for example, some of the big banks are having star camp, and then you probably can try to understand what kind of technologies they're using, what certificates would actually help, what kind of entry level certificates would help. So if you just focus on them, and if you have a real in-depth understanding of that one, it would really be enough for you to land in your first tech job. Because most of the graduate jobs or the star camp ones are actually looking for any kind of a degree and the knowledge, certain level of knowledge in the tech. Young, do you have anything to share on that one, Young?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that that's a very common question, especially for people from a non-tech industry. They want to transition into the tech industry. Even actually for the people within the IT industry, different job, different role are so completely different. So I use my own example. So I spent many years, I was doing the storage backup. So to me, I think the storage and backup, it's like a dying industry. Yeah, who cares when people moving majority of the stuff to the cloud? So the time actually about 4 years ago. So I share my story of how the certification helped me. I don't want to do the storage backup job, okay? Yeah, because I see it's not going to work. It's not growing anyway. So I did my first Kubernetes certification. That's exactly 4 years ago. That's a certified Kubernetes administrator. Just after I completed the certification, I actually got one of the a company that reached me out and say, "Hey, Yon, do you want to join us?" I say, you guys are still doing the backup. I'm not interested. But the company turns to be they are Kubernetes focused. So I actually, after a few interviews, I passed the interview. They hired me as a first hire. It's a startup company, part of the larger company, but I'm the first hire part of the company. So the reason I share this story is I'm not, in the Kubernetes industry. I don't have much more experience. The recruiter reached me out because I got the CK certification. They are looking for someone have the experience, have some, if not the experience, at least they did the learning of any particular, subject. So that time, I just passed the certification for the CKA. That's where I got the opportunity to join the interview and then pass to get the job. So that's where I say the certification it does help. Similarly, if you are not in the industry, you want to do something. Let's say you want to be a DevOps engineer or platform engineer. I just give an example. You want to learn something, there are a lot of learning materials. There are learning paths for the for the DevOps engineer or for the SRE, for platform engineer. You follow along, you complete all the learning. While you do the learning, very important, you need to find some project or maybe join some of the community. You join as a speaker. You can share what you learn, how you apply the technologies to solve some problem that can makes you unique. You can easily to land a job because with only certifications, it's really hard for you to land a job. Everyone can do the certifications. They just do the learning. They can pass the exam. Then they can get the certificate. To show you are unique, you need to have some experience, either community sharing or join some conference to do some sharing. That's where set you, apart from all the rest.
Would you agree also is, I guess, a little bit of the timing and research as well? Because I think, Young, when you mentioned it was a time that Kubernetes became like really, really popular, and that all the companies were sort of jumping into Kubernetes and want to sort of, include that technology in their stack. So yeah. I think the important, do you agree that the important part is actually do that research to understand what's in trend at the moment? What, if the big companies sort of want to bring that technology in, and then jumping to going to those certifications, because as you said before, storage backup was sort of like old school. Yeah. So it's also, I guess, not only about doing the certification, but actually doing the research and understand what in trend, what in demand, what's a big company doing right now.
In my opinion, even myself also shifting my focus. I spent many years doing the cloud and then shifted to the Kubernetes a little bit more. And nowadays, I spend more time to do the AI learning, like the AI vibe coding. Even our landing page, I also enhanced using the AI tools. So if you ask me, my suggestion is, we should focus more on the AI front. The reason is, if you're starting to learn cloud, people are 10 years or even more experience in front of you. It's really hard for you to be, competing with these guys. But if you started to learn AI, so most of people are at the same time started to learn AI, shifted their focus to AI. You can be ahead of a majority of the people. That's where you can, probably easily to landing an exciting job or doing the AI related work. That's my personal opinions.
Yeah. Rashendra, what do you think? What's on trend at the moment? What certifications?
You're right. I can see some of the participants, users have asked the same question. How do you pick a certificate? How do you find the what is on trending? I don't want to mention those websites which has the job listing because I just don't sure whether I should be mentioning it. But I'm pretty sure if you're residing in Australia, you probably know where to find a job listing for your career. So what I do is that I actually do this exercise at least every fortnight. I just go to that particular website. There's multiple websites, and just use some of the keywords of the technologies which I want, which I'm interested and which I think it is actually trending, and see how many job listings are there. So someone has asked, "Hey, should we just stick to a one particular domain?" I would a particular cloud. I think if you learn one cloud in depth, moving to another cloud is almost like start using a new mobile phone. It shouldn't be any different because the fundamentals of the cloud is very very it resembles with each other. So if you the thing is that look for the cloud which is most famous or the most number of companies have asked for in those websites, in these job listing websites. And you would see if you just put a keyword and click on search, and you would say yep, sure, there's like 101 listing for this particular cloud. And that is the demand. And for this cloud it's only that, let's say 2025, let's say for example one of the clouds which you mentioned. So you can understand what is the niche market and what is the more popular market. So if you if I think your best chance would be just go with the most popular market. So right now there's a lot of AI related topics or AI frameworks, or the agentic AI, the RAG, those concepts are trending. So you probably can just go there and just see, as mentioned by Yong, if you get a good start in AI, then you probably can compete with the industry peers and the people who are ahead of the curve. But not to forget, if you do have a solid knowledge in cloud, learning AI would also help. Because if I recently, I think Young also completed, I recently completed the machine learning certification, because as mentioned by Young, the AI, there's a massive trend just 2 weeks ago exactly. And I would say like 30% of the machine learning questions are actually the previous learnings or the experience which I had on the cloud. It's not, it's part of the machine learning question, but actually the fundamentals are like, the related to the cloud. So for my advice is that I would think go with the trend, try to understand what are the trends, and just look what are the most popular certificates in that area. And then if you can focus it on, and then if you can learn in depth, that's just definitely going to help you.
Well, that's a very good point. Yeah.
Yeah, you can even look, I don't know, like simple examples. You can look at from the business side as well. Maybe, like you're, I don't know, like a dream job in the banking, like, and
Absolutely.
majority, like, I don't know, majority, and you can really easily Google what majority of banks in Australia use. Yes. So, and the stack could be like quite similar. Or for example, if you go to retail, a lot of retailers actually don't use AWS cloud because it's almost like a competitor for them. So you can look at it from the business perspective as well. Like the majority of retailers go to Azure. So, and if the retail sector is more attractive to you, that's kind of, you can look at it from that perspective as well. So not just, I guess, be like so focused on the tech itself. There is more more things that you can think about in terms of like choosing that career and certifications too.
Yeah, I completely agree with Rashendra. He made a very good point. It reminds me a few years ago when I was looking for the job website, I was comparing the Kubernetes. I just searched Kubernetes to see how many job listed. And if you want to compare, there is another one, which is equivalent from Red Hat OpenShift. You can see how many jobs comparing to Kubernetes, and you can focus on, which one you want to take it. And yeah, interesting. Nowadays, you probably most likely you might want to search the keyword Gen AI, generative AI, or AI ML, etc. To be able to figure out where I or you should focus on.
Yeah. Taib have a similar question. So kind of, hey, do you think it's smarter to specialize deeply in one certification path, like for example, AWS or Cisco, or to diversify across different vendors?
I might have a different opinion to Young, but I like to just share my opinion. I would definitely would say if you specialized in one certification path, that would give, if you're, especially if you're coming trying to move from a non-tech career to a tech career, that would help you a little bit. Because if a project is actually looking for, let's say if my company is actually using AWS, and if it is not using Azure, or let's say for example GCP, it's good that if you know GCP and Azure, but for me what matters is your knowledge. That the chances of one company using three, I mean currently our company is actually using that, I'm not saying it's not, but it has to be very big industries who probably would be using all three clouds at once. No company, I would say very less companies would use, for example, as mentioned by Young, OpenShift and Kubernetes together. They would either go with one or the other. So if you just know a little bit of OpenShift and a little bit of Kubernetes, versus if you really have an in-depth knowledge in Kubernetes, which one the company would prefer, I would say definitely in-depth one. You just have to pick one and just master it. That would definitely help. And once you master Kubernetes, you probably get into the fundamentals. You probably get into a stage where you start reading the source code, the open source code of the Kubernetes projects, and start learning it. And then learning an OpenShift or understanding it, as I mentioned, it's like getting used to a new phone. Young, you want to share something?
Yeah, I'm kind of agree with Rashendra. Yeah, when we started to learn something new, you should specialize in one and make sure you are good at the one before you expand to cover the rest of the cloud. If we talk about multi-cloud, let's say you begin with AWS, you do one really good, and then I tell you what, it's so easy. Once you are good at one cloud, the rest of the cloud are so simple for you because most of the concepts are the same, except that some of the terms are slightly different. So to be a multi-cloud specialist, if you just want to specialize on one cloud, and then later you can easily to take another cloud. So I'm a big fan of a multi-cloud, but I don't recommend you just do one certification from one cloud and then jump to the other cloud. That doesn't help you actually. So you should specialize on one cloud deeply, make sure you're good at that one, and then before you expand to other cloud. That's my suggestions. Yeah.
Ling have interesting questions. Current job listings for AI machine learning roles, most mid-level. Do you still require some basic cloud certification to get started for someone new?
That's a very interesting question. So yeah, this is what I tell my friends. Yeah, we should focus more on the AI. But the reality is majority of the AI workloads running on Kubernetes. Okay, where the Kubernetes cluster running, they are still running either in the cloud or on premises. So majority of these are still relevant. So what I'm saying is you should focus more on the AI, ML, all these cool new technologies, for example. But in the meantime, the majority, the foundation knowledge, you should have the basic foundation knowledge. Otherwise, you don't know, so what the recipe is talking about. So it's still very much relevant. Yeah, you do need the basic cloud, certifications. For example, like AWS, they have the cloud practitioner. Microsoft, they have the, I believe, Azure fundamental. Google also have the equivalent. You don't have to be very deep because your focus, for example, is Gen AI, ML, but you do need to have the basic knowledge. Yeah.
Right. Because that's the same opinion, similar opinion here, Jana. Because when I was learning the machine learning, so it talks about the permission and how we can allow another person to host their model in the SageMaker. How can we restrict that one? For example, those are fundamentals of the cloud. I didn't have to learn that one in the machine learning. That's something which I learned like 10 years ago. So the fundamentals of the cloud is definitely, I would say, in this industry, it is a must. I think that's one of the main areas you can easily, because if you try to become a programmer with no experience, you might struggle at the beginning, but you can easily become a master of cloud, even if you're coming from a non-tech background. It is a very easy pathway if you're coming from a non-tech background. And also, as mentioned, if you're learning the AI, definitely need to have some basic fundamentals and then try to master it, and then you would definitely understand while you're progressing. You're probably covering off a lot of fundamentals too, because they're always associated, they are rooted to the particular cloud.
I guess we kind of covered that question, but if you sort of, I guess, summarize your answer to Maxim's question. He's asking, I'm looking to take the next step in my IT career from service desk analyst to cloud engineer. So which certification should I focus on? And is there a roadmap you can share to move into the next role?
I can quickly just give a...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're from the IT to IT career from a service desk analyst, I would say let's start. I mean, try to understand which cloud in your region is most popular. If you're from Melbourne, chances are that AWS and Azure and both GCP, three of them are very popular. But as I said, you can go to those popular websites which has the job listing and look for that one. And let's assume that I would go with AWS. Then I would start with the practitioner. I would start with the associate solution engineer, and I will now there's a new one, cloud ops. Then that would be a good one to start as well. And I would start with then follow up with the AI practitioner, because you need to have some AI knowledge, and then try to understand once you have those fundamentals and associate and plus the AI practitioner, you probably can understand, hey, what's your interest, what are the entry level jobs which is looking for example. It's very rare that if you're planning to start as a graduate or from a star camp or like a boot camp level organizational entry level one, the chances of they giving you an AI project at this point would be very limited, because the AI projects would be handled by perhaps the most other teams or the other senior teams. So they might give you some kind of a certain cloud level work, or maybe certain programming with users with the use of AI tools. So that's probably your market. And once you grow up, then you can actually increase your portfolio to diversify your knowledge using different certifications. Young, you want to add something?
Yeah, actually, you covered pretty much a lot of the stuff. Yeah, I just want to add, Yana, if you don't mind, bring the screen. So yeah, this is our landing page. Pretty much, we put together all the learning certification stuff. We're trying to help a majority of our community members. If I can share you here is, you can see, I just put people. So Rashendra mentioned about the cloud, but I think CNCF the Kubernetes is kind of like a new cloud, a different cloud. If you want to start from a CNCF certification point of view, the KCNA Kubernetes and the Cloud Native Associate is a very good starting point. And the people sharing how they become certified to become a KCNA, to become a CKA certified, for example. And you can find a lot of the learning certification resources from the website. One thing I want to highlight is I did a lot of the certifications. It is actually pretty expensive. That's where I put together all the learning certification discount code we discovered, trying to help a lot of people to save money on their journey. If you can see here, discount, you can find all the learning certification discount code to cover majority of the CNCF cloud certifications. And also you can find you want to join some of the industry events. So if you're in Melbourne, the API Days, Australia 2 days conference, you use the code, you can join for free completely. And we are organizing a 1 day Kubernetes plus AI track. You can join for free as well. So just to highlight, and one thing, the other thing I want to highlight is who to follow. You can follow the guys who are already fully certified on AWS, for example. That's where we created the Austrian program. You can even see where the people near you, for example, you can see the people we featured on the map, they are fully certified on AWS. You can feel to say who are the fully certified guys in Australia. You just follow the guys. They already complete all the AWS learning, how they become fully certified. They constantly actually, they are willing to share what they learn, trying to help the rest of the people. That's why we feature them part of our community. The other thing is a CubeStrong. That's similar, but it's kind of like an elite cloud. You need to be fully certified plus AWS plus Kubernetes. So that's why you probably will see from Australia, we also have quite a lot of people certified here. Only 3 listed here right now. So just to give you some idea where you can find the resources to support your learning, and where you can find all the learning certification discount code to help you to get there without breaking your bank.
That's actually really a good point, Young. So how actually you decide when to spend money on the expensive certification instead of just focusing on like networking, building portfolio, contributing to open source? I guess at which point you decide like, okay, now I need to spend money on certification. Like,
yeah, that's a very good, also common question. Everyone have the limited budget to do the certifications. You don't want to spend too much money, so we have to decide strategically. Unless it's this is I normally tell my friends, say if it's free, why not? You do it. You gain knowledge anyway, right? But if it costs you like a 450, 400 for CK exam, it costs you $445. That's quite expensive, to be honest. Yeah. So that's where my suggestion is we just focusing on the most important one. If you talk about a cloud native or CNCF from a Linux Foundation, if you just have the budget to do one certification, I'd highly recommend just do CKA, Certified Kubernetes Administrator. Why? Because that's the only one can get me a job, okay? Seriously, I did that one. After that one, I got a job. In a few months, I found an exciting job, also pretty good pay, okay? But that comes another question. Do I really need to complete all the certifications? Absolutely not. You don't want to spend too much money. You don't want to spend too much time to do all the certifications. If you want to do 2 certifications, I might suggest you to complete another one for security, because the security is always very important. So the company always have the budget to enhance their security offerings. So talking about a cloud native CKA plus CKS, that's enough for you to land in your next exciting job in the Kubernetes cloud native ecosystem. But if you complete all 5 with Kubernetes certification, that doesn't mean you can find a 5 job. No, Yeah, that's why we need to choose, smart. That's why I made a word called cube smart. Okay.
And Rashendra, I know that in the beginning you started to give some examples how some certification help you to get a job, and one was in the beginning of your career. What was another story? Like when?
Right.
What is another example of when
Right.
certification actually lead you to the another role?
That's a good question, Jana. So as I mentioned, nearly 1.5 decades ago, I was a programmer. I was a like an backend Java developer. So I was focusing on Spring, Struts. Those were the and the ESBs. Those were the technologies which I was focusing on. And even I joined my current company, the bank, as an backend and a full stack developer. When I say the full stack, the term full stack meant at that time was like front end and back end. Now I don't know whether what does full stack mean. It's a bit of a question whether it is including the CI/CD and the DevOps. It could mean anything, but at that time the full stack was like you need to know a little bit of front end and the back end. But my interest for AWS cloud as and do a lot of DevOps was always there, so I kept on doing a lot of certifications in AWS one after the other. And what happened is that at one point there was some of my engineers who was doing actually the DevOps work left the team, and I stepped up. I said I like to do it, and given my certifications, and I was keen enough to put it in my email signature so everybody would know that I have those certifications. Something which you should be doing, because once you get a certification, you will get a badge like what Yang and myself showed you. So I put that, and then the people actually, my manager knew, oh, hang on, this person knows a thing or two about cloud. Let's give him a chance. And actually, I managed to master it and keep on doing it. And now, after some time, with I managed to gain more certificates. And one fundamental thing which I really want to give the audience is that if you're already in a job and if you're looking for a career path, career progress, just find a certificate which actually helps your job. If your company is actually using AWS, you can do Azure or GCP, for example. That's good. But I would say prioritize on doing AWS certification. If your company is using Kubernetes, then prioritize doing those certifications. If you're using Terraform, do that one. So all of my certifications are actually a part of my career. Those were my collection during the 16 years. None of the certifications in for me, to be honest, I haven't actually, I do not have too much time that's like young to spend too much. So whatever the limited time you have, I always spend on whatever the field or whatever the work which I'm working on. So I was in my time, I was working on Akamai, I was working on HashiCorp Vault, the Terraform, AWS, Kubernetes. So those were, and web services. So those are part of my careers. So coming back to my story, I kept on doing it, my certifications, and there was a mass opening for an actual DevOps engineer, and I applied, and they simply for one particular automation, I was managed to impress the person who was actually into him, say, hey, I'm up for the job. And that's how I just did my transition from a full stack developer to a DevOps engineer. And that didn't end. And as mentioned by Young, and that team had Kubernetes, and I wasn't picked up to do Kubernetes. I was picked up to do like bit of Terraform and CI/CD pipeline. And I was really falling in love with Kubernetes, and I did my first one, got involved a little bit, and slowly I managed. And the same thing happened in my platform as well. And the some of the SMEs of the Kubernetes left the platform. It opened me to be more involved, get more experience, and do more certification. And I'm glad to say that I'm one of the top SMEs in that area, in that platform, if not the top SMEs. So that's how actually certification actually helped me to go from a full stack developer to an DevOps engineer, senior DevOps engineer, and from DevOps engineer to an actual principal engineer. That's why I say that certificates do help, whether you like it or not. It do help. Make no mistake that's why I'm really volunteer to join this conversation. There's absolutely no question about it. because the things which you learn, there was a key fundamental, Yana, and the audience, which I want to tell. You can learn a lot of things. Let's say you can learn AI. You can just sit there, think about it and say, yep, sure, I'm going to sit down and learn AI. If you go down that path, you would learn quite a lot of things, but you wouldn't probably touch all the areas of that particular area. But if you try to follow up on a course and certain questionnaires, then you actually touch all the four corners of that area. Because even in the AI industry is not going to actually use all the all the elements of the AI. They will be using the most useful and the most popular ones. But if you try to follow up certification and a course, it guarantees you that for you to pass, it's actually you need to touch all four corners. And those corners would be very useful when you're trying to step up and when you're having those conversations with the senior people.
Yeah. Thank you, Rashendra, for all your examples. And I just want to quickly highlight, and it's in the comment as well, that when you're looking for the role, get two certification to get a job, and then do more and have a company pay for it. And that's exactly a really good trick. Like if you within the company and the company need those skills, a lot of bigger companies have some learning budget, and you can go to your manager, says like, what's the learning budget, what can be approved, and if it's in line with your role and in line what company doing, it's most likely will get approved. I guess is that also your experience?
Oh yes, Yana. So the company which I've worked, they have a separate tech academy which actually sponsors for all the clouds, and I'm trying to get Kubernetes into that set of vouchers. I'm working with Young as well because he has a lot of what do you call connections with the CNCF. Because we want to, I said like we want to get Kubernetes because that's one of the most expensive. And KSAG, our meetup, the founder of these KSAG is here, Young. So we used to give 50% coupons back in the time, but we are waiting more Cube astronaut to join our community and just donate it. So that's one. If you are looking for a discount, definitely we can help you because there are a good number of Cube astronaut coming to our AI, to our meetup. But definitely, the big companies do sponsor. They want to help the career for the career progression of their employees. They want to show that as well, as much as they show that they want to help, and that's how they retain their employees. That's how they build the loyalties between the employees and the employer. And that's how you feel, oh hang on, the company actually cares about it. They actually pays for it, and I have something to show when I leave this company. Young, you have anything to add?
Oh, that's absolutely. If you can persuade the company to pay for it, why not? Yeah, definitely ask your company to pay for the certifications. Well, we only got like a few more minutes. I want to just bring one very important questions. If you ask me, can certification really get you a tech job? I would say yes, definitely you can. But the but is our focus is not just to chase the certification. Our focus should be apply what you learn in your job. Okay, if you don't have a job or looking for a job, try to do something, build something from your GitHub repositories. You might want to apply the technology what you're learning to create some article, create a blog, to create a video, to share what you learn with the community events. I give you a few examples. Actually, a few of our volunteers, they join us as a volunteer. And one of the guy I remember correctly, like even 2 years ago, his name is Prasanna. He initially joined our meetup events, and he raised his hand and said, "I want to volunteer." And then later, he joined us as a speaker. It turns it's his first time to do the public speaking. He was scared, but he managed to get it done. And what he talked about is the tech, about the Flux CD, basically the GitOps thing, which is a pretty good talking. And he's sharing. We do the recording, and someone from one of the bank They realized, they watched the recording, they reached him out. That's what he told me. He said they reached me out and say, hey, Prasanna, we want someone like you to know the GitOps. Can we have a chat? And then just after one interview, he told me, no tech interview at all. Just ask a few questions. We know you can do it. So then they hired him. So I'm just sharing you the stories, how you can get the experience, get the project experience to expose your job, your stuff which you build. So you have to, you learn, you do the certification, you do the learning, you have to expose to let people know you. So create a blog, article, sharing, video, join the community events, join the conference to share what you learn. That's one of the best way to showcase you can do it.
100%. It's a blend of the things you can do. And again, like it's the same that then the people overthinking about their resume, for example, and thinking they're not getting a job because of the resume. Like we need to rewrite your resume. There's so many things in the job search than just updating your resume. So there's just so many things you can do, and certification is a part of it. The community, the networking. There's just so many bits and pieces that's involved, and you need to use all the different strategies. Like you can't rely just on certification. You can't just lock yourself in the room and do certifications and think that you get like promotion. So you need to use all the resources you have around it, and just I guess use the right blend that works for you.
Correct. And the networking is also very important, Jana, because that's why you probably would need to one of the things is like learning certification is really good, and then try to understand what the create some network, go to some meetups, and try to understand what they are doing. Whether that would be another place where you can understand, hey, what technologies this company is actually using, and then try to learn them. If you happen to meet with let's say if you're planning to go to National Australia Bank, if you meet someone and ask, hey, what are the technologies you're using? Are you using ECS versus Kubernetes, or are you using something else? Which cloud platform you're using? So that gives you a head start. If you're not sure, that's the best way. And maybe you can even follow up with a coffee and say, hey, I'd like to buy your coffee, just share some of your experience, and coach me, because the people who are coming to this meetup, they like to share their experience and share their knowledge with you, and that's why they're coming to this meetup in the first place, to make network and try to teach some share their knowledge and experience. So if you happen to ask, hey, how did you manage to do this certificate? I'm planning to do this certificate. Can you give me some I like to sit with you, just learn something, try to understand what courses you did, how did you practice, and how did your experience help. They would always share that knowledge with you.
Yeah, and it's definitely much better questions than asking, are you hiring? Or do you have a job for me? The people will be always happy to answer the questions about the certification and learnings, rather than asking a question about, do you have vacancies in your company?
One question, one experience I have to share, Jana. In one of the meetups, I had 3 people who actually interviewed me previously in Australian jobs. 3 people. So that's the powerfulness of the making network among themselves. And just imagine that if I had been coming to that meetup a lot earlier, I would be meeting the same person who would interview me in the future. Why not? The chances are you would be meeting you would likely to meet a person who would interview you in the future, and they would understand if you happen to say, hey, if they were mentoring you, if they were coaching you, you get a better chance of landing that job, because they know that, okay, this person has been closely following, very interested, have done a lot of things, and have progressed so far nicely. It's worth giving this person a shot, because you can see the potential where he can end up.
Yeah, definitely. We completely running out of time, guys. We're getting to the most exciting part of our stream, the quick takeaway. But I'm just quickly acknowledge Paul's comment because I like it. Not sure if I would get the AI certification right now. Outside of traditional ML, it will likely be out of date within a year. I feel like a lot of certifications get really quickly outdated, but I guess they are updating quite quickly too. What do you think, guys? Would you do the AI certification right now?
I would
Well,
say
I did a few, yeah, like an AI engineer from Microsoft. I also did the AI practitioner from AWS. But the thing is that the AI is moving so fast. Even next week, probably a lot of things already changed. But the foundation of knowledge is still there. Nothing changed much. So we still need. It's still good to do the AI, the foundation, learning. Yeah.
Makes sense. Cool. We have few minutes. The giveaway times. The usual giveaway on this live streams. It's a virtual coffee chat with our speakers. So I'm going to do a quick announcement for next week. And while I'm doing that, Young and Rashendra will go through the comments and pick the one person each to go to virtual or maybe real coffee. And that's your chance to, pick their brains and ask more questions. So I'll give them a bit of a time and I click through what's coming next. Next week, Monday, we're actually doing tech walking. 15th of October, I'm trying something new. We're gonna do tech walking after working. We're gonna meet at Federation Square at 5:30 p.m. Instead of the live stream. So if you're in Melbourne, please come and join me next Wednesday for the evening tech walk. So it's a quicker one in the city. And after that, on the 22nd of October, we're going to speak with Darren, and he's going to talk about transitioning from software engineer to architecture roles. And he's actually going to talk about his learning path and certification he did to transition. We also have tech walking upcoming in Sydney. In 26th October, we're also planning something in Adelaide. Will be another one in Melbourne. There's so much going on. And at the end of October, we have a webinar on LinkedIn makeover. So that one you need to register separately. It's not going to be live. It's $29, but it's really worth $29 because we're going to actually go through your LinkedIn profile and change all the little bits and pieces that help you to stand out in Australian tech job market, especially if you've recently moved here and maybe just not really have this like local experience and don't know how to approach the Australian market. So that's on 29th of October. And I know that Young has quite a few events coming up. If you can also share with the audience.
Well, thanks, Yana. Yeah, for anyone interested, in both Melbourne and Sydney, we do have the meetup. Yeah, if you go to you just search Keswick.ai Australia, you can find the meetup. And from the events, you can find, especially for the Melbourne one, at the exhibition center, Melbourne Exhibition Convention Center, we are running a one-day conference to focus on Kubernetes plus AI. To join us, we give you the free ticket, and also it comes with 2 days conference to API Days Australia. And also you can find a lot of the upcoming events from both Melbourne and Sydney. Yeah, thank you. Please join us. Yeah. So remember, this is a great opportunity to learn networking and also to practice what you learn.
And we're going to drop those comments in the comments of this live stream, so it will be available in the comments. Young, please share it with me or just drop it directly. But we make sure you can find it in the comments. And the coffee chats. It looks like Young, you choose the outside five. Sorry, outside five. I don't know what's your real name, but Young, gonna have a virtual coffee chat with you. Please connect with us on LinkedIn so that I can also follow up and make sure your virtual coffee chat is happening.
The question asked outside of 5, the reason is, it's pretty interesting. I'm a big fan is not spending my own pocket money to do the certification. That's why I love the idea to ask the company to pay. So the question is about a KSUG. So we use the code K8 SUG, Kubernetes User Group. That's where we started. And then we renamed it to KSUG. So we make it a Cube Smart and the AI User Group. Okay.
It's a lot of abbreviation, but now we know. And Rashendra going on a coffee chat with Ling. There you go, Ling. Please make sure to connect with us on LinkedIn. I'll also make sure that I'll follow up. You can see the names, the same names that you can see on the screen on the YouTube. That's the same names on the LinkedIn. There is also QR codes if you have 2 devices in your hands right now, so you can scan the QR code too, or you can just find us by the first and last name on LinkedIn. Thank you. Here we go. Outside 5, you still didn't give us your name, so we still don't know your name. But you definitely have a nickname now. Anyway, we at 6:30 we running out of time. Thank you so much, Young and Rashendra, for joining me tonight. If we did answer some questions, please connect with the guys on LinkedIn. So I'm sure they will find some time to quickly answer some of your questions, or we drop something in the comments. Thank you again for joining me, and I'm sure we'll see Young and Rashendra maybe on some of the tech walks. So if you're in Melbourne, that's your opportunity. And obviously make sure to join Young group, Kubernetes group, and API Days will be a massive event as well, 29th, 30th of October. I'll be there too. So if you're going to API Days, you can see me there too, and probably meet everyone. Rashendra, are you going to be there too?
Yeah, 100%.
There you go. Everyone will be on API Days. So, guys, plenty of events to choose this month. Thank you so much again, and see you next time.
Thanks, Yana. Thanks, everybody.